Okay, I should now be live on all however many platforms they are. Lots of plate spinning here at 144K HQ. Welcome everybody. 4K mass meditation. And as I mentioned before, this is not your usual full moon because as of this full moon, there's two huge conjunctions, astrological conjunctions. One is Venus and Mars conjunct. Full moon conjunct with the star, the most spiritual auspicious star, Sirius. And then you have I think it's a Sun and Mercury conjunction. I probably have that combination wrong later on in the week. And that creates a stellium in whatever respective house for your personal sign, but personal three signs. But above all, it creates a 2-year reset for everybody, collectively and individually. And as always, Mr. Cabal Man, who is a astrological zealot, knows this because I follow and utilize astrology religiously and ritualize a way to twist and manifest the lowest octave ability of whatever astrological event is going on. And then, of course, they trigger or actualize their physical actions thereafter. So, like us, they work with energy, clear the energetic space, set the energetic template, get clear on what they want, and then they take the physical actions. Pretty standard way of working with energy. Obviously, they do it in a positive, in a negative way. We counter that while everyone else sleeps and heroically stop it and turn it around to, well, because we do it consistently every 2 weeks, save humanity effectively and therefore play a critical key role in supporting the light forces, both terrestrial and non-terrestrial, in their actions. Because there's always so much going on behind the scenes that certainly will be revealed to us in very graphic detail once we look back from hooking up with our off-world brethren and galactic families. So it's a big deal. Starting from this full moon onward, a very big deal this week. And we do have to take charge of the energies. We can't be sitting down expecting the light forces to do it all for us, the white hats to quote unquote rescue us. It fundamentally does not work that way. And the 144K, and all of you listening, from having joined the 144K, you understand this, and here you are taking action, not sitting down. Big deal. As we continue to transition, clearly these very transitional energies, into 2026. That doesn't really start until the Chinese New Year, which is, I think it's February the 17th or 18th, thereabouts. That's when 2026 really starts. And yeah, many of you sensitives and even not so sensitives, you notice there's still very tense battles. Still some stiff resistance. which is why the light forces will be very grateful for our loving, energetic, heavy lifting to just shift things off in a better direction that then becomes either transformative in and of itself, or simply it simply enables operations to go far better for the light forces. So let's get into it. Begin the process of breathing deeply and slowly through your nose. And just settle yourself into a comfortable position. Make sure you have your drinking, your water bottle, and whatever beverage you're using. And let's get into the now moment. Okay. Continue to breathe deeply and slowly through your nose to harmonize our energies. And do breathe deeply, slowly through your nose, not through your mouth. That's fundamental. And if you're new, welcome. You are well advised, as always, to really expand and open your mind. Really expand and open your mind beyond what you know, beyond your existing spiritual paradigm. As we effectively begin this mass meditation, beginning with the breath. And begin the process of detachment, letting go. And as always, for lack of a better term, lose yourself in the now, because that's your portal outside the matrix to your higher self and soul. It's through the now. And as you breathe deeply and slowly through the nose, allow yourself to kind of sink into those lower brainwave states. Alpha is enough. High theta is good to help balance your brain hemispheres and enable access to the right hemisphere of your brain to therefore access the non-local superconscious mind or consciousness. As we take a couple of minutes to do that, and you can call in your guides if you consciously work with them. Okay. Now that we're more harmonized, let's multiply the power and the impact of this mass meditation by 100 by going up to what Source has created, which is kind of like the police force for the multiverses, and taking the most sacred thing around, the goddess Gaia, with us. Okay. Let's materialize things using our natural right hemisphere brain and consciousness projection to change a world. One of the main reasons for creating the physical plane, to project consciousness from, to finally win that multi-billion year saga of corralling the dark back to the light. That's what physicality was created for, to project consciousness from it. That, for some reason, activates godlike powers. A secret few know about. So let's take charge and do what we're here to do. See yourself in a gigantic, very translucent, silver crystal ball. Engage the right hemisphere of your brain via its own operating system. That this matrix has called and labeled as imagination. See the astral bodies or golden light bodies of all your fellow 144K brothers and sisters in arms on this live now moment, our sacred portal. Let's call in Gaia. If you're a goddess with your own connection to her, you can call her in your own way. Otherwise, follow along. Authentic Gaia, we call upon the one true, authentic goddess Gaia. Connect with us now. See her in the middle, in the center of the crystal ball and the dotted golden ring, that is the 144K. And in case you're new, this is just as real. What you quote unquote visualize is just as real as your physical body and the physical chair you're sitting in. Actually, it's more real because it's a higher, more true reality. That just is what it is. Adore the beautiful white polar ice caps and the white clouds over the blue oceans and continents. And now we start to move up through the layers, membranes, illusions, overlays, densities, some organic, some not so organic, of this universe, to make sure we break through it all. We rise above them. You see the first somewhat faint horizontal white layers of this universe going from top to bottom of the crystal ball before all you see is a faint, soft, calming and therapeutic flickering of light through the translucent walls of the crystal ball as we race up the layers of this universe through any AI constructs of this matrix, rising above it all, including organic densities. Rise above. As you relax and honor, validate this sacred inner manifestation that you're naturally here to create what we're visualizing. Always go within first to transform the outside. That's Energetics 102. I guess the now moment and centeredness is Energetics 101 or Spirituality 101. That's what you're here for. As we rapidly approach that last thick outer boundary of this universe, as you, in a totally relaxed, non-trying way, receive the image that your intent has already set. And that intent provides the image for you through the right hemisphere of your brain. Almost instantaneously, you need to catch it. So just remember that, especially if you're new. Enjoy the ride as we take what some say is the center of all creation, original creation, with us to end it where it all began. For those of you who know that story. As you continue to adore Gaia and her oceans, white clouds, white polar ice caps, dotted golden ring of all the other 144K members around, and the flickering, soft flickering light in the background through the translucent walls of the crystal ball. You can also take a glance at your guides if you consciously work with any on your left or right. Always remember, the image is naturally already there, even as you set the intent on what you want to visualize. And faint images work just as fine. They're often the more accurate ones. as we're about to break through to reach super high frequencies of light that the dark ones can't compete with. That's how the 144K rolls. Take your last glance at Gaia. The flickering light in the background. And then all of a sudden, everything goes bright white. As we reach and push through that last thick outer boundary of this universe, you can barely see Gaia in the center. And we are through. It all goes kind of dark, but for the dark-toned, translucent silver walls of the crystal ball, and there is that big ball of light that is the universe that we just left, rapidly turn into a small ball of light, and we rise above a whole ocean of small balls of light, and that all shrinks into a small ball that is the multiverse that we just left, and we rise up above a whole ocean of other small balls of light that is the neighboring multiverses. And that all shrinks and disappears beneath us, way off in the distance. Feel the stillness, the centeredness, the calmness. This delicious now moment that is your access point or portal to your higher self. In order to channel your true identity. As we continue to rise to a place, kind of like a control room of absolute command, let alone support and protection. Take that last glance at Gaia, and you look up, and through the dark translucent roof of the crystal ball, you see a point of white light suddenly appear. And as you continue to watch it to grow, you begin to get brighter and bigger. Take that glance at Gaia and then at your guides or the next few 144K members over to your left and right, evenly spaced, while I complete standard protocols. Authentic hide, we call upon the one true authentic hide. Please be here with us right here, right now. Please make sure we go to you when no one else true hide. And the bright white light up above now lights up the whole roof of the crystal ball, and we finally reach it. We come to a sudden, yet somehow gentle stop, and we slowly and lovingly, gracefully move through what's called a platform of light. as it lovingly and slowly envelops the crystal ball and Gaia. And we rise above. It closes at the bottom, opens at the top. As we gently, lovingly nestle comfortably on top of this platform of light. We now form a straight line behind and a little above Gaia, standing in unity and solidarity. The crystal ball peels evenly and slowly from the top center. Nice and slowly to allow for a kind of very real energetic decompression, especially if you're new. And getting pumped full of super high frequency light for the first time, so hang in there. All the way down. Just watch it go down. Nice and slowly. Because this isn't a game. All the way down, and it disappears into nothingness. Again, if you're new, the further away in terms of density any benevolent being is, the more subtle their energy. So give yourself a few minutes to feel what they feel like. Because even new veterans need to settle and calm and only be focused on them. Again, if you're new, you may simply see them as light beings. They're very, very translucent, very I don't know, just kind of like a faint white light, very translucent. But the central sun of source is right sort of in the middle of them when they're standing together. It's 5 of them. And feel what they feel like by utilizing in a perfectly scientific way the right hemisphere of your brain with the algorithm set by your intent. And the only thing in the way of that is trust by your left hemisphere brain. Again, if you want to get anywhere in life, there's always an element of going past your personal boundaries, with trust being one of those key ingredients. And so feel what they feel like. They have their unique energy signature. Being with them upgrades your energetic field, your aura. Upgrades it, raises your frequency, clears it. Allow. Throw caution to the wind and just have that, and I mean this, that limitless attitude of a child that has no consciousness boundaries. That is truly, literally powerful. As Morpheus said to Neo, I'm just trying to free your mind. Well, that's where it's at. So use this opportunity to do just that for your own sake and your own life. So I'll be quiet for a couple of minutes. To be. Centeredness, still. Waiting for that little subtle pulse of energy, of their unique energy. So you can establish your own connection with them and access your soul to fulfill its purpose. This is let's just say, a very sound protocol to do just that. That's the way the 144K rolls. Feel what they feel like. Paying a little bit of background attention to your higher senses in around your thalamus area, basically the center of your head initially. Authentic God, can you please send us a massive wave of your energy so we can truly feel you to an undeniable, unmistakable physical level. And now just look at them, let go. The intent has been set. And use the stillness and silence to naturally bring you into more power and command. This is Working with Energy 101. Time to get back to basics. Remember to have a little bit of awareness, background awareness in the center of your head as you look at them. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes, so don't worry. Needless to say, this effectively begins the mass meditation. Don't try and see. It doesn't work that way. It's what you focus on. Okay, good. Authentic HOD, send us a massive wave of your energy to our hearts. Engage the heart. And now have a little bit of background consciousness on your chest or even solar plexus as you continue to look and receive. Remember to breathe deeply and slowly through your nose. Good. Again, it's okay if you didn't feel anything, because this is really high level, that's more subtle. Okay. Now shift a little bit more visual on Gaia and or your guides if you have them, while I quickly finish up with protocols. I'm calling in the rest of the teams. I call upon the infinite army of the authentic amalgam of the Oberon lineage. I call upon the elders of the Gamalgam. I call upon the team of beings that created this universe and the unique physicality to corral the dark back to the light, unique to this universe that presents itself as one man. In this model called Oberon, you can see him as a golden being of light, just on the other side of Gaia. This universe being kind of like the ultimate experiment of fixing this huge mess throughout the omniverse. Repeat after me, everybody. I call upon all of my high density aspects, higher self, see him or her as an amalgam, I suppose, on the other side of Gaia, wherever it suits you. Connect. This is a big deal, like you wouldn't believe. Repeat after me. I call upon the entirety of my authentic soul and see just up above the heart, kind of like a star appear. Repeat after me. I call upon my authentic oversoul and see a bigger ball of light in a different color perhaps emerge from behind your soul at a slightly larger size. Repeat after me. I call upon my I am and see a bigger ball of light back to white, if you prefer, emerge from behind your oversoul. Very long, infinite rays of light. A stupendous panoramic scene. Open up your mind. That's the only limiting factor, and it's that simple. Consciousness is king. Love is queen. Connect by kind of being lost in this panoramic visual, especially with the soul over soul and I am, to connect, accrete. As you breathe deeply and slowly through your nose. Without honoring who you really are, it's a little hard to make life work. Okay. Now that we're anchored in the heart, coming from there, enjoy and maintain this panoramic vision. You don't have to see everything at once. And pay close attention. In a complete, non-trying, detached way to allow the psychic flow. As I'm about to say things that are also on your behalf, before your unique soul talent and purpose is activated. Authentic Legion of Light. There is Gaia. It is the 3rd of January, 2026. We have two huge astrological resets this week, and a very full out of bounds moon, which amplifies everything again, conjunct the star Sirius, our spiritual, most auspicious star within our zodiac. We request that you take us to the space and place of omnipresence to amplify the power and impact of this mass intervention by another 100 times. Now glance at Gaia briefly, your I am briefly, and everything turns bright white. It's so bright you have to squint your eyes. You can barely see Gaia in the middle or anything else for that matter as we are taken and transported to omnipresence, thanks to our conscious connection to our I am presence, because we're not connected to our I am presence, courtesy of genetic manipulation, so we have to place consciousness on our I am presence in order to reconnect. That's the way that goes. It will get resolved as far as genetics is concerned, and we're almost there. As a bright white light all of a sudden disappears, everything looks the same. Okay. Authentic Legion of Light. Here we are. Approaching the key peak of the full moon. Of January 3rd, 2026. Major cosmic resets are beginning now. With the astrology, which is kind of like the language of source, essentially. There is Gaia. The planetary liberation process has pretty much reached a peak, pivotal moment that if we can actualize a breakthrough using the power of this full moon in conjunction with the star Sirius, we can finally break through. Truly break through to the surface, actualizing a revolution of the light at the third density physical surface level, the final trench, the final frontier in the energetic sense. We hereby request and petition, all that is, to truly actualize that slippery slope that brings the light to the surface, completely disarming, neutralizing, and then gracefully dissolving anything dark, anything inorganic, especially inorganic humans, dissolving the final illusions of what's left of this AI matrix. Okay, interesting. Okay, so I suppose instructions have come through. Although we will have to place Gaia in a quarantine sphere, a white, well, you can make it whatever color you want. Place Gaia in a white quarantine sphere. And with the teams, at the very least, your I am and these managers of multiverses in the background of your consciousness, visualize waking up one morning or this morning, stepping outside of your house, opening the door, and that first look outside, you instantly realize not just a beautiful morning, but an energetic, crisp, ambient cleanness, calmness, and a tranquility to anything and everything. Whether it's the way the trees look, the usual background sounds that you usually hear when you step out of your house each morning. Just completely different feeling, energies. A brightness, but an ambience. A feminine calmness and softness everywhere that you can't explain, you've never experienced before. Consciously live that, create it, so that the teams can imprint it through our energy fields. It's part of what we're here for. This radically, never mind positively, influences the two major astrological resets of this week. And feel, as you're looking outside, standing on your front porch or whatever it is that you first initially step out onto, See yourself pausing and realize you're feeling a safety, a security in every sense of the word, as if you won the lotto and you don't have to worry about anything. Do that. This is what you're here for, to use your consciousness to imprint and essentially program this world to realign it back to the divine source way of things, of existence. Feel being bathed in complete safety, complete security in every sense of the word. As if a quantum financial system is already kicked in. As if med beds are already out. As if galactic contact has already happened. The classic feel as if it's already here, just for another minute. So the teams can see this, feel this, show it to them. Before we clear everything that's in the way of this. To then finish off with a grand finale you can really look forward to. What one thing, event, or manifestation would you need to feel, and that's the key energetic word, to feel as if you made it? And now show it to the teams. At the very least, the HOD and your I am at a minimum. That's enough, and it can all be done in a second. And now repeat after me. Authentic soul, oversoul, and I am. Authentic HOD, Oberon, and Legions of Light. From the space of omnipresence, scan all that is, beginning with Gaia. And the subspace void. And clear all. that stands between the frequency that we're at now and what I have just shown you. Okay, now take a brief glance before you look down at Gaia, at your soul, oversoul, and I am. Feel them at the same time in your heart. Look down at the quarantine sphere at Gaia. Pick a single holographic color for Gaia that in your mind represents omnipresence. That includes not just all densities, unspace, subspace, the subquantum realm, regular time space. Again, you can do anything with your intent and the right hemisphere of your brain. You just have to know the right intent. And just look back up at the hod, soul, oversoul of who you really are. Casually. And repeat after me. Express my true soul purpose. That only I can do. Channel it down here and through me. Oh, she felt that. And glance down at Gaia. And just say, clear the lot that's in the way. Now, catch what instantly comes up. Again, faint images are usually the most accurate. Any remote viewer will tell you that. Anything vivid tends to come from mind biases, which is limiting. And doesn't get to the root cause of the problem. And whatever it is that you do see, make sure you turn it white. As always, change background colors of the quarantine sphere and or Gaia. To a dark indigo or violet, if it helps to differentiate, with your white transmutational light ultimately coming from your I am and the hod and guides. You hold that focus in order to transmute anything that came up, usually gray or black. Don't try to analyze it. Doesn't work that way. Psychic work that you naturally have doesn't work that way. You do the analyzing later. Because to clear the root of that which imprisons us is often something beyond our rational mind or analytical mind understanding. So don't bother. You are your soul over soul and I am when you use this particular protocol. And that is how you free a planet without it taking another 50 years, that is. And once that whatever indescribable thing, it's quite often an amorphous thing many times, not always solid. Sometimes it can be solid in the physical or non-physical sense. So you're bright and white, and then within the quarantine sphere, generally speaking, don't go outside the quarantine sphere, which really helps with protection. And watch it disappear. And once you've done that, you can always return the background colors of both Gaia, the holographic color that you chose of Gaia from an omnipresent perspective, and her background. The background color of the quarantine sphere, you can return that back to white once you're done transmuting. Now, look past the Gaia, about Oberon, the Hod, your soul over soul I am, et al. And repeat after me. Authentic Legion of Light, and I am. Hod over soul and soul. Complete the process that is safe to remove during this full moon of clearing all that keeps source light from reaching the physical third density surface of this planet. To actualize energetic freedom, emotional freedom, supreme confidence, and galactic contact safely, without life-threatening repercussions. Transmute, hold, turn it white, whatever it is that you saw. Do it within the first 3 seconds or so, as in a remote view will tell you. And you can always go back a few seconds to seize on that image that you initially saw, or quote unquote think you saw. Turn it white. Don't try and understand it. It does not work that way. Because darkness will not show its true face or form. Again, change background colors. The background color of the quarantine sphere to whatever you want to clear, to more easily see your channeled transmutational white light. And hold for a few seconds. And in case you're new, whatever block to galactic contact, initially private, or simply to planetary liberation, preceded by light reaching the surface of the planet, completely dissolving grids, darker grids, AI illusions, whatever. That block could be the size of a quantum particle. It could be, never mind an atom, it could be completely amorphous all around Gaia and beyond the atmosphere at whatever density. It could be within subspace. That's sort of like in between regular time space. Again, this, as you hold focus on this white light, it just demonstrates the point that you have to go beyond the boundaries of what you know to receive that. Because that's where freedom lies. Freedom lies beyond our boundaries, personal boundaries, consciousness boundaries, levels of awareness, etc. And by bringing, because we're dealing with arguably the mother of all subjects, by doing everything this way, going up to the teams, protocols, centeredness, connection, blah, 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 it can be done safely and way more effectively. And this transmutes the matrix as well. You know, we're dealing with underpinnings of this illusory simulation. That is the prison. Okay, nice. I saw a round, wobbly thing all around the upper atmosphere of Gaia. And when that was transmuted, the whole outer, upper atmosphere and beyond turned a stunning source violet. And more like magenta, really. There was god-awful stuff that came from deep within Gaia, just below the surface. And if you knew, abstract representation works just as well, so don't worry. Needless to say, there's a powerful energetic skills or psychic skills you're learning here. And God knows that's worth its weight in gold. Loads of it. If you want to be free, that is. And if you haven't already, see the white light disappear. And that certainly happened. And it'll usually leave either anything, any color that's goddess orientated or goddess associated. So green, light blue, magenta, violet, pink, obviously. And part of the reason why 144K mass meditations are often called mass interventions is because what we're aware of on the physical 3D is always a very downstream after effect, more like an afterthought or result of these underpinnings, root causes that we focus on to undo, bring down the whole house of cards. And finish up. If you haven't already, you can do this process one more time, focusing on whatever it is. Because the teams in your higher aspects, they scan from omnipresence and show it. You have to put some consciousness on it so they can work through you. Again, connecting consciousness. Consciousness is a connecting link that they need to get in here through your connecting consciousness. And whatever it is you're focusing on, whatever weird shape or amorphous garbage it is, it could easily be something there that's been there for 1,000,000 years, 1,000,000,000 years. Because this magic like super duper, often AI tech, has often been there since forever, long before Atlantis. Okay, Gaia felt that. Keep it up as we finish up this little chapter of this mass world transforming intervention that you have the honor to be a part of. Let your imagination go wild, believe me. That's your access point to get to the bottom of things. As the light forces work with us, enabling them to make more bolder moves more safely. Now, I'm reluctant to verbalize what I see because it can filter your mind. That's why I'm taking my time in verbalizing what I see. To give your unique soul talent that's there to support your soul purpose through your conscious connection to your soul, oversoul, and I am, to shine unfiltered by whatever I verbalize first, and then I'll verbalize. Finish the transmutation, the white light disappearing. Needless to say, this is profound skills and protocols you can apply to your own personal healing, which you'll be well advised to do. Now zoom out a little bit. Okay. And finish up if you haven't already. If you have, look at the teams, especially the height on your I am at a minimum. That's enough. Anything else dark or grey as you observe Gaia from omnipresence? Turn it white briefly and watch it disappear gracefully. Okay. Now for about a minute, look at your I am presence, soul over soul, over on the far side. And repeat after me. Work through me now while I hold consciousness space from the ground here. And remove last remaining barriers to the light reaching the surface to transmute the matrix, to align it back to the divine. Now see Gaia within the quarantine sphere in whatever holographic colors you want that represent omnipresence. See motherships, normally spheres with portals deep within them, connected to the galactic central sun and even the cosmic central sun of this universe. They don't look like ships, they look more like just orbs, big mothers. Again, you don't have to see it perfectly, it doesn't work that way. You can if you want. So consciousness is king, so let's use it. See your I am and the HOD infuse their light into the heart of these motherships. See the motherships as kind of spherical, translucent, and see what looks like a central sun deep within the motherships of your almighty, seemingly infallible I am. And you can see micro images of them just above Earth's atmosphere. Whatever works, because we're all built differently to actualize and support our soul purpose and talents that's unique to you. So honor your system and the way it's built in terms of how you want to visualize it, to actualize it. Let go. Trust, let go. You can do this. You want to be the multidimensional being that you truly are? Here you go. Now see, I guess you could say an outwards emanating vibration, pulse, that's specifically focused on the physical 3D in all its spectrum and frequencies. And see this outward emanating pulsing of waves of light, for lack of a better term, pulsing outward through these huge galactic and intergalactic motherships. As they come, going deep through the upper atmosphere, dissolving what's left of the veil, the grids. Very gracefully, because it's a lot weaker now. It has a very disarming, dissolving effect. And see it, again, you may see it as layers of outward emanating white light or magenta light even, going through the atmosphere. Down to the lower atmosphere. And as they reach the lower atmosphere, you notice they get a little weaker, reaching the city skylines or the land, whatever it is that comes to you per your unique soul purpose and talents. That's the algorithm set within the ultimate search engine in the universe, called the right hemisphere of your brain. Always remember, consciousness is king. Now see it, the waves of light, for lack of a better term, coming down in that pulsing manner. And they get weaker as they reach the surface area and move through the surface. For now. And now notice this constantly emanating waves of light starting to get stronger. More reprogramming. Reorganizing the matrix. Realigning it with divine source, organic code, and sacred geometry. Dissolving chaos particles, anomaly, dark energy, dissolving it through the surface profile of this planet. You can visualize a city skyline. You can visualize a whatever landscape. And through the surface, deep underground, to the level of, throughout all the crust, deep into honeycomb earth underneath. Reordering, reprogramming. Okay. dissolving any AI codes, dark AI codes. There is actually positive AI, dark AI codes. Including in subspace. Just breaking apart anything dark within subspace. And you see these waves of white light, layers of it, just constantly, through their persistence and our persistence, constantly dissolving whatever's in the way, whatever doesn't permit source code, source frequency to come down the surface to, you could say, reprogram all the sacred geometry and code that creates three-dimensional structures and what we see, reprogramming. And you can see whatever surface profile or landscape you've chosen, you can see it holographically in a dark toned indigo or violet. Changing a reality, literally. As you hold that intent with every wave of light going through the surface as if there's nothing there at this point. Okay. Now let's finish up. Return your consciousness back to this panoramic view of the HOD, your I am, Gaia in the quarantine sphere. This, of course, will radically reduce the severity and length of time of any kind of resulting 3D surface volatility that's going on, to really expedite planetary liberation in a far more smoother, gentle way. This really helps this peak transition period of December and January in a big way. Really, really supports that. Okay, let's finish up with a beautiful grand finale. And just transmuting here briefly. All right, she felt that. Nice. Let me know if you felt her at that time, at that moment, in the Telegram chat. All right. Let me tune in briefly here. Okay, yep. Let's light up the grids. See whatever part of the planet or continent that you're, I suppose, familiar with, and see all the crisscrossing lines, beginning with the ley lines that most of us are familiar with. See them light up. And if you're not familiar with the ley lines, rest assured, your soul and higher aspects certainly are. So, and the right hemisphere of your brain certainly knows them. And just see, pick a continent, your part of the world, and see all these crisscrossing lines just light up. And that lighting up spread throughout the continent. Channel your I am, oversoul, HOD, etc. Channel, make it happen by stepping out of the way in a certain sense, and allow the magic of the limitless nature of the right hemisphere of your brain to actualize. And we need to do this to really amp up the light accretion and conduction of Gaia, to be able to, so we can receive and conduct what we're about to do. Again, it's all perfectly scientific stuff. So some of you will have done grid work in whatever physical location years ago. Light that area up, big time. Take command. Amplify the light. This is going to allow the light forces, terrestrial and non-terrestrial, to really go for it. Because rest assured, even a cough is monitored on the physical surface. So you are being watched in all the right ways, that is. You know, there's how many portals, vortexes, natural ones, everywhere. Okay. Now, look up at your I am over soul and soul on the other far side again. Repeat after me. Work through my omnipresent consciousness. And divine intent and purpose. So remember, your consciousness is everywhere already. That's just a scientific reality. Okay. With that truth, as always, the truth will set you free. See the universe's central sun. You can see, again, faint abstract images always works just as well. So you can do this with full confidence that you can't get it wrong, especially with such company, to put it mildly. And you can see this universe as a stunning very holographic, very translucent or transparent toroidal sphere with that divine little spark or central sun right in the center of that central column that every toroidal sphere has. Okay, repeat after me. As you look at the central sun of this universe, connect with the team of beings that created this universe casually, just in the background of your consciousness. Again, that represents yourself as one man that we called in earlier. He's very excited because it means the grand experiment is really not just working, but coming to a close. And we're accelerating that. Just as this huge astrological resets are occurring to set things on the way better timeline and template. Okay, bright spark, center of the universe. Repeat after me. Authentic goddess source. Bring your resetting light back to truth, freedom, and love. Down to all Gaia's levels and densities, including subspace, the void. Now, see, a pillar of white light very thin pillar of white light come through the central sun, which is basically a portal. And see it travel through and begin to travel through galaxies of all sorts of shapes and forms. Going around like a pinball, but mostly heading in this direction. Do that in whatever way. That image is already being sent to you. And see this, pillar of light traveling, racing through. Darting around like a pinball. You sort of have to catch it. And see it passing through M87 galaxy. Again, the right hemisphere of your brain, if you're in the now, knows what that looks like. Capture that image that immediately comes to mind. Abstract imagery works just as well. And see it race through the Andromeda Galaxy, through the central sun of the Andromeda Galaxy, race through into the central sun of the Milky Way, race through the central part of this galaxy, through the spiral arms, towards our zodiac. Past the Kuiper belt, lighting up the Kuiper belt, which is kind of like a thin membrane, oval-shaped membrane surrounding our outer solar system. Actually, let me backtrack. Let's go back in time by about 30 seconds. When it reaches our zodiac, which is our part of that spiral arm, see it pass through the star Sirius, the Sirian star. Your higher mind or your right hemisphere brain knows where that is, knows what it looks like. See it pass through. Racing towards the Kuiper belt, our solar system, past Pluto, Uranus, or should I say Neptune, past Uranus, of course, Saturn, and then Jupiter, through the asteroid belt, past Mars, racing towards past the Moon, racing to your part of the world where you are. Through the sky, penetrating whatever's left of the matrix and veil. Through you. You're the anchor. This is what you're here for. Deep underground into the core of Gaia. And you notice it passing through, they look like nested spheres within Gaia. It's just parts of her, aspects of her. Pardon me. Little release symptom there. Reaching the core of Gaia. And see this light emanating from wherever it is that you are, through your grids, your personal Earth grid, activating and coming into Gaia's grids from within this matrix. Spreading outwards, lighting everything up, dissolving anything false or fake, technological, AI, whatever garbage. There's all sorts of crystals in the ground, especially deep underground. Light it up. Because we're the anchors with that natural connections and umbilical cords to the core of Gaia. So it's emanating out through the core of Gaia. And it's this ever expanding outer holographic shell of light that's hard to verbalize. Be the witness to receive. Expand away through your region, your state. If you're in the US or Australia, your country, if you're in Europe, really lighting up everything that goes into creating this 3D simulation matrix, returning it back to the divine, back to reality, dissolving anything illusory, negative programs, codes, false codes, overlays. The prison, dissolving it. As our off-world inner earth brethren are cheering us on, I know some of you can feel that. Dissolving matrix codes, dissolving AI overlays, sacks of garbage that's made life far worse than what it needed to be. Dissolving, dissolving, dissolving. Expand your wildest imagination. Let it rip back to truth and reality, restoration of love, anything that blocks it, get rid of it. As the grids accrete, thanks to all this preliminary clearing we've done diligently, like a true army of light does. Okay, if you're in the US or Australia, you should be covering half your country now, just to anchor it and consolidate it. The rest will go much quicker. And all the grids and crystals, it really accretes this, and they get reprogrammed, restored back to the divine, and they start emanating. That's what accretion and conduction is about. Down to the quantum, subquantum level. But AI codes is the main culprit here. As you hold that intent, and outward she goes. Keep it up. As that light has obviously reached below the surface and united and synergized with the light coming up from the core of Gaia, from inner Earth. They're cheering us on. Do receive that. Outwards we go. Yeah, this is what I call a full moon. 144K style. Racing across, being on the east coast at the moment, racing across the Atlantic Ocean, reaching the northwest shores of Africa. God knows they need light. Reactivating. So it's like an expanding sphere. Racing across Europe, Africa. Of course, you focus on your part of the world, racing across, at this point, neighboring oceans to other continents. Pardon me. Release symptoms are what they are. All the way. Because as more light gets accreted and spread throughout the surface, that outer boundary of this expanding sphere travels even faster because it's bigger, there's more light. And boy, does this do a buttload for your own frequency and field. Real loss of light accretion and upgrading. Affects DNA, among other things. And it's healing and reactivating critical grid points, converging ley lines, nexus points, clearing vortexes, reactivating them, amping that up to their optimal state, kind of like when you do chakra work, for example. Okay. Just want to make sure the Middle East is covered. Matrix, transform the matrix. All right. Now we're going to do something really cool. And this takes less time because we won't be working or focusing on regular space time. We're going to be working on subspace. So if you haven't already, see Gaia insanely lit up like a Christmas tree of the most profound kind with all these, well, it's hard to verbalize such profound, stupendous thing, but if you can imagine a spherical version of a Christmas tree and something far beyond that with all these crisscrossing lines, perpendicular structures, spheres within spheres, all rainbow colored like diamonds, multicolored, with the predominant color being gold, actually. And in case you're not aware, inner Earth and galactic ships are totally amping up their light because we've cleared the path for them to be able to accrete it. We've removed blocks to accrete, so they can do more. Again, the classic case of reaching God or your higher self halfway. Classic old principle there. Using your omnipresent nature of your consciousness, look at the universes. And this is a way faster process because we're going to be working through subspace. See the universe's cosmic central sun. The universe's central sun. Repeat after me. Authentic I am presence over soul and soul. Higher self. Authentic Hod. Oberon. Angelic realms. Pull source light through subspace all the way and into Gaia and all densities, frequencies, throughout subspace, 0 point, and unspace. Throughout this universe and Gaia, transmuting all darkness in the process, clear subspace, the void, throughout all that is. Now switch to subspace again. The right hemisphere of your brain receives the image through your higher self and soul. So receive, don't do per se. Draw a white line from the universe's central sun throughout subspace, simply by intent. And as you draw that, at the front end of this expanding, or should I say traveling, white light pillar is pushing outwards and expanding spherical membrane at the same time, expanding out in all directions, dissolving all darkness, transmuting all darkness. There's a golden membrane, magenta within, clearing subspace, all levels of subspace, which is the space, or more like a void, between regular time space. This is important. And it races almost instantaneously all the way through the universe, halfway through the universe, 3/4 of the way of the universe, because it's like one giant void. It's sort of like no space. Again, very hard to verbalize, perfectly scientific. Run with this. This is no room for thinking, because that's highly limiting. And see it reach Gaia, subspace within Gaia, and clear. It just moves through Gaia. It's hard, again, very hard to verbalize, therefore guide, run with it. Channel what your higher self is already sending you. I think I felt something there. Dissolving, transmuting subspace. So you can see subspace as a, I don't know, very dark black or dark indigo. And this golden membrane just spreads throughout subspace. moving through Gaia, pushed forward by this pillar of light, moving through Gaia. And when it reaches Gaia, instantly switch your omnipresent consciousness visual into, if you can imagine being in this void that's kind of dark, and you see up above all these cubes, that is very separated cubes, holographic cubes up above, that is regular time space, and see this golden membrane reach through, leaving magenta in its wake. And moving through subspace, clearing out any dark wormholes, traveling through subspace, dark corridors, if you will, spaces in between these cubes, and those cubes are regular time space. Transmuting, clearing garbage, and see it move, and then zoom out and see all regular time space. And there's a golden membrane moving through subspace in between those cubes, that is regular time space, and outwards. And see the universe. Turn source, goddess, magenta. And within this universe, there's plenty of wormholes or portals that travel through to other universes through subspace. And for those of you that don't know, space travel is done through subspace. Signals are sent through subspace. Communications. Clearing it all, restoring it back to the light so that there's only positive subspace. It's like bringing in a source version of a policeman that decides what communication and travel can occur through subspace. And see this universe as a toroidal sphere, holographic toroidal sphere, and that golden membrane magenta, in other words, subspace, traveling outside the universe throughout the void into the subspace of other universes, represented by neighboring holographic toroidal spheres. And boom, it's like explodes outward, magenta, source, with that golden membrane, which is code to reprogram anything that's of the three-dimensional nature. In this case, not necessarily reprogram, but clear and realign subspace back to source. Oh, there she is. I saw a, goddess just explode upward, just appear from when I saw a brief image of the multiverse that we're in. Okay. Okay, I felt her there again. A little, I don't know, how do I put it? Almost like an hourglass sort of shape appeared within the core of Gaia that was dark, and it got transmuted, and then I felt her. Again, whenever something coincides like that, even if it's 5 minutes apart, do share that in the Telegram chat. Okay. And to finish up, God, this is big. Now, see, all right, so from within subspace, there's all these access points or portals within the core or nucleus of every atom, every subquantum particle, every particle really, no matter how small it is, whether it's a quark or preon or tachyon particle, whatever, let alone an atom. And here's the beauty of it. Pretend you're in subspace and it's all magenta and gold, very goddessy, unconditional love. Feel that in subspace because your consciousness already is everywhere. Please do run with that. This will get you free with a capital F. If you don't change the energetic fundamentals, you don't get free, or more to the point, fulfill your soul purpose and you get free. I'm just showing you the door, you walk through it. So pretend, quote unquote, you're in subspace, it's all golden magenta. See a portal or kind of like a wormhole that travels through a particle, quantum particle. Move white light into that little portal or vortex. It can be white light or golden source light. And then see a holographic sphere that is the quantum particle that you just moved through from regular time-space perspective, and see it expand through the quantum particle. And you can see other neighboring quantum particles. And zoom out and see a subatomic particle starting to fill with this source golden light. Expand that out through the nucleus of an atom. Through all the protons and neutrons of the nucleus of an atom. See it light up, forming kind of like a beautiful sacred geometric structure. And then zoom out and see it expand out. It's mostly empty space. And see the orbiting electrons light up. And zoom out and see, we're all familiar with that diagram of an atom. Expand it out. And see the whole atom as a toroidal sphere with a cloud of electrons all around it, transmuting the chaos particles, also known as subquantum anomaly and quantum anomaly at this point, because we're past the quantum and subquantum level. And expand that out to neighboring atoms, to a molecular structure, expand out. As it all entrains, and then expand it out from your part of the world through the physical density structures, third density. Expand it out through many atoms, subquantum particles, atoms, molecular structures, bringing the divine, the source, and divine codes, light language, if you will, in that golden color, throughout the surface, reprogramming in the divine way this three-dimensional world, and spread. They're all quantumly entangled thanks to subspace. Expand it and see it as another. So we're doing the same thing that we did at the beginning, but this time from the opposite end, through subspace, not through regular time space like we did at the beginning. You've got to sort of do it from both sides, if you will, both opposite directions. Expand it out. And subspace is a different story. It's sort of everywhere at once. So visualize that in whatever way works for you. Seeing this gold spread or come up spread throughout the surface, where you brought the divine source code and light through subspace and into regular time space through the natural portals of that initial first quantum particle, but from within the surface, third density, which is kind of tricky for our inner earth and off-world brethren to get to, because they're not from within the way we are, projecting their consciousness from within. They can't do that because you have to be born through the umbilical cord of the core of Gaia and that whole natural process. I don't have time to explain that. Run. If there's ever a time and place for your faith and trust, this is it, like you wouldn't believe it. And just see a macro image driven by your intent of this gold, of all this light coming through all the physical particles and atoms from deep inside, from the portals deep within them, connected to subspace, because this is quantum entanglement. This is it. And see just everything go golden. You're part of the country, then, because it's all emanating from your personal field where you're doing this visualization, and outwards we go. Again, because it's through subspace, it all happens at once. Expand it. So see the gold emerge. I'm doing my best to verbalize something that's almost impossible to verbalize, because verbal words is not our natural way of communication, for those of you who may not know. See gold, source light, come through more and more particles, the epicenter, wormholes or portals within all particles and therefore atoms, throughout the surface. See a macro image of that and see your country turn gold, ocean, Again, macro image of the micro image that we initially visualized when we brought in source line and code through subspace into regular time space through the portal, the natural portals of quantum particles and atoms and their respective atoms. Well done for bringing God back and love back, by the way. And congratulations for being on the cutting edge of bringing light to the surface, to humanity, in a way that galactics can't. There's certain things you have to be born into this world to do. Talk about profound. See this gold come up through the surface, Gaia lit up. You can make out, again, for the mind to believe, quote unquote, you know, the basic outlines or shorelines of continents. Through subspace and into regular time space through those portals within quantum particles and atoms, rewriting. Because the AI matrix, the AI is very weak. You can't reinforce things, so it is time. At a time when, God, what is it? The moon, the full moon, I believe Mars, Mercury, Venus, was it Jupiter? No, the sun. No, not the sun. Are out of bounds from the sun. For those of you who know your astrology, you know how profound that is. Now spread the gold from space, subspace, from that original quantum particle and atom that eventually spread throughout the surface, from subspace into regular time space, spread it out upwards through the atmosphere, low Earth orbit, sublunar space, boom, see everything light up in gold, including the moon, already reaching the sun, because we're pulling stuff through subspace. And in subspace, that's where everything really is one. Again, hard to describe. And see this, I don't know, I wouldn't say explosion, but dramatic expansion, super fast expansion of source code, light language, guidance energy, love, expanding out throughout the solar system, in the inner solar system, past asteroid belt, throughout the solar system, and see it spread. And sort of reuniting with the regular time space and subspace that we spread throughout the universe, throughout the galaxy. Really anchoring with the motherships throughout the solar system. They're directly connected to the universe's central sun and subspace at the same time. Anchor it, see gold everywhere throughout the universe. In between the universes, anchor. Now return back to the imagery, the original imagery of the teams, about the multiverses. See at least 2 of the HOD, your soul over soul I am up ahead, Oberon, your guides, and beneath, see gold way down in the distance. Pretend that the whole omniverse, not just multiverses, is visible. See gold, like this glowing aura, upwards emanating gold. One of the fundamental colors and language of source. Light language that creates structures, codes that create structures. So that there's, in other words, there's a divine masculine aspect to it. Driven by Goddess, powered and energized by Goddess. That's the source of power and energy. See the teams, the original image of the teams, the HOD, etc. Your I am. And see everything around would go from, the black of outer space. So you turn magenta and gold all around them. Now look at them, namely your soul over soul I am, in the same position on the far side, directly opposite you. Thank it. Thank. Thank the HOD. Thank your guides. And now, return your consciousness back more fully to your room, because you already are everywhere. All right. And now, repeat after me to finish up. This is just a verbal command that'll take 10 seconds. Authentic Syrian fleet. Authentic Syrians. Connect with me now. Again, our thoughts emanate loud as all get out, as far as their telepathic abilities and let alone instruments. Okay, feel their presence. Break through that mental threshold by imagining it if you need to. You're only limited by consciousness. That is what it is. Okay. And let's finish up by repeating after me. Authentic Syrian fleet. We invite you and in the powers vested in us by Source, we command you to descend down to the surface. To receive your light and connection at the physical, conscious, waking hour. We give you permission to enter our world and help transform it. Authentic Syrian fleet. Be a part of our world. You have permission. Contact us now. and see, oh God, all manner of mostly discs everywhere. As if you're holographically looking through the surrounding landscape up to the horizon of wherever it is that you are, and seeing Syrian ships, discs basically. Feel their love. You can see vast fleets of predominantly discs, big ones and small ones, just descend, going into from the upper atmosphere, where many of them have been, down to the lower atmosphere in a flash. Others rising up from inner Earth. Up through the ground, or staying and being just below the surface, because it's all empty space. It's all holographic. Most of you know that. With this permission and invitation, they're there. You can talk to them, communicate with one of these discs. One of them is saying thank you, because just clearing subspace alone is insane, huge, critical. Thanks to our unique godlike powers that we naturally have by projecting consciousness from the physical plane of this particular planet, third density, to anywhere else. They're equally grateful to us as what we are to them. And this anchors their presence here fully, without violating free will or ruffling feathers, shall we say, from within this matrix, without any of that. Because what you have contributed to has allowed this to happen gracefully, by removing resistance, clearing subspace, among all the things that we've done. And if you're on the west coast of the US, well, anywhere in the US and Canada, you can go to sleep feeling them. And congratulations. I tried my hardest to get to this point as fast as possible, but again, when you got that prerequisite, preliminary clearing work to clear blocks, prepare the space, accrete the light, you can't create surface conditions that are close or match the frequency of our off-world brethren. It doesn't work that way. We have radically supported the light forces, terrestrial and non-terrestrial, from whatever density as well. And so allow yourself to receive and feel the love, peace of mind, if not pride to a degree, that you did your part. And congratulations. This was a critical full moon because of such out of bounds conjunctions, astrological conjunctions, that is literally a 2-year reset for the next 2 years. That sets the blueprint and timelines for the next 2 years. Ask any astrologer how critical this full moon and this week is. Because on the 6th and the 9th, there's major astrological conjunctions that the dark ones are already or will ritualize their asses off to try to turn that in their favor. We've preempted it. And that is such a massive timeline shifting impact that saved humanity and all of us a lot of grief. It's hard to articulate, hard to verbalize. How do you verbalize such things? You don't have to have the most strategic mind in the world to understand how profound that is. What we've avoided, how much we've shifted things. At a window, a full moon window that conjunct with with the star Sirius, in that narrow window, that you had to move to act on that narrow window while it's there. Otherwise, it's gone. Throughout this peak full moon period that we seized upon. To say congratulations, 144K, for all of you that participated on this live broadcast, is way understating things. Enough said. You did your part, fulfilling your sole purpose at a critical time. Rest peacefully, receive the love, and sleep in the love that's now better reaching the surface. Well done, beloved one. This is your loving servant, the Unknown Light Warrior, bringing such a profound timeline shift and intervention and energetic transformation down to the surface, covering those fundamentals, bringing source back, all the way to the surface, where all that blocks and resistance was. Now receive the grace. Now sleep with a smile on your head, a smile on your face, and with pride and peace of mind. Well done, beloved ones. This is your loving servant, the Unknown Light Warrior. Walking off like you with that reassurance that you did your part. Leave your comments in the 144K chat. I'm certainly looking forward to them.